Hello and welcome to another video. I had a question the other day and it was, how many hours a day should I be studying if I'm trying to crack into the software engineering industry? And this will apply to people who are self-taught, I think primarily. If you're in a boot camp, well, the name kind of suggests you're in a boot camp. You're going to be studying a lot. Generally, I think most boot camps are structured that way, where you're studying intensely. And then if you're doing computer science in school, well, you're already going to be studying for that. Though I don't think there's any harm in also looking at actual practical web development skills that will be useful when you get to your first job, because I think a lot of the stuff you learn in computer science isn't very practical for actually coding at work. Though the fundamental technological understanding will help in certain cases. Anyway, to the question, how many hours should you be studying every day? I would say as many as you can. Now, it's going to vary by your goals, right? Everyone's going to have different goals. If you are trying to crack into the industry as fast as possible, which was the case for me, then you need to study for as many hours as you can per day. However, you need to be very mindful of doing this in a sustainable manner, okay? And that's the key word, sustainable, because it's very easy to get burnt out. There is so much content to learn, especially when you're just getting started. If you take the Odin project, for example, there are so many lessons, so many modules, so many projects. You can easily get overwhelmed, feeling like you have to get through it as quickly as possible. And that will put a lot of burden on you and a lot of stress, and will lead you to burn out, I think, if you are not careful. I was certainly close to burning out at times, though I started to recognize those signs and I would take a day off here and there. So I studied the Odin project for 6 months. And then at the 6-month point, I started my final Ruby on Rails project, which is my dog adoption application. And that's what inevitably kind of got me my first job, having that as my flagship project. Now, I was studying about, it varied, but consistently at least 4 hours per day. Now, I was not working for most of this time. For 2 months of it, I was working full time. And then when I decided to go all in, the remaining 4 months, I was working, I was not working, I was working solely on the Odin project and studying between 2 and 7 hours per day, with an average, good solid average of 4 hours per day. And this would include weekends as well. So it was quite a lot, and that was about all I could manage without really burning out. And I think if you look at studies, like, most people can really do between 4 and 6 hours of really productive, dedicated work per day. You can go more than that, but it does start to burn the wick at both ends, and I think it does start to burn down faster than it regenerates. So you have to be careful that you may be an exception and you can do more than that. You may not be able to do that much. So I would say do as much as you can sustainably. Now, people ask, well, I'm working full time. How can I do, a lot of studying? Well, I'm sure for most people who are working full time, yes, we're busy, but there are ways that you can carve your day into slices that will give you some time to study. Now, will you be able to get 4 hours per day in? Probably not. I think that would be unreasonable, especially if you have other obligations, like dependents, kids, etc. That takes up a lot more of your time. But I would say, analyze your day, see how much, or see what you're doing on the day-to-day basis, and see how much time you can carve out for studying, and be very intentful in your studying. Now, of course, again, being wary of burnout, because if you're working full-time and looking after kids and you're studying on top, that's going to become a tall order. So you know your best, carve out as much as you can. But I do not think that web development, software engineering is something that you can dabble in 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and get very far in a reasonable amount of time. Now, it may be possible for some, but I'd say most people just won't get far enough dabbling. I think you really need to commit yourself to a solid chunk of time each day. And it may just be an hour. It may just be an hour. And some people probably learn faster than I do, and you may be able to do as much as I did in a shorter amount of time, or at least the hours invested. I'm not a particularly fast learner. It does take me a while to be comfortable with complex things. But once I'm comfortable with them, then then I'm good. Then I'm good to go. Some people definitely learn faster than I do. I'd say I'm pretty average. So you know you best. You know your learning style best. You know how much time that you have in a day. But I would say do as much as you can, because this stuff is not easy. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of rewiring of your brain to understand the fundamentals. It takes a while to get those fundamentals down in your head where you can actually start thinking in terms of code and software. And yes, you have AI, but honestly, I think that makes it even harder to learn fundamentals properly, because I was so lucky I did not have AI when I was learning these really core basic things, because I had to learn them, I had to understand them, I had to write my own code. There was no such thing as ChatGPT. The closest thing you had was Stack Overflow, copy pasting snippets, maybe 10 lines of code at most. It was way different, and it forced you to go and learn that stuff without the crutches or the AI gives you. And if I were you, I would not use AI at all when you're starting out. I think it's only going to hurt you in the long run. And to that question, will AI speed up your learning? Let's say I did 4 hours a day average when I was learning. If I did it with AI, would it have been quicker? Yes, I would have got through the content quicker, but I do not think I would be in the position I am in today, where I have a comfortable grasp on the fundamentals, and I can build most features that I'm supposed to, even without the help of AI, albeit I would be slower without AI now. But honestly, I think AI is only going to hurt you in the beginning, so I would stay well away from it. So yeah, in summary, do as much as you can. I think you need to really invest in this if you want to make that switch. You got to be doing at least an hour a day, at least in my opinion, and going up from there to whatever is sustainable for you and manageable over the long run. It's not an easy thing. It is hands down the hardest thing that I've done, is switch careers from natural resource management in a technical field that I was in into software engineering within the span that I did it in, 8 months. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. So I can't downplay this stuff and say, it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. You got to invest that time, and do not lean on AI too much. Anyway, good luck finding a rhythm and a cadence that works for you, and that is sustainable in the long run, so that you can actually see your goals through to the end. Okay, I'd be curious down below how much people do study. Drop it in the comments. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours per day. What's your routine like? Okay, I'm gonna make sure I don't fall over going down this slope, and I'll see you in the next one.